Cafe racer style e-bikes are some of the most expensive e-bikes out there. If you search for these types of bikes, find brands like Super 73, Eohora, Go Power Bikes, and Ride One Up. And all of their bikes that are designed like this are costing about $2,000 to $4,000. Who wants to pay that crap, huh? So what do you get when you have a Cafe Racer style e-bike that costs $1,200? Well, this is the Nakto F2, and let's find out if buying a more affordable Cafe Racer style e-bike is worth it. I think that's a pretty good plan. So let's first talk about power. Hi, horsey, you want to be my friend? And the question we gotta ask ourselves is, does a more affordable price tag mean that you lose out on power and speed? Before we find out, this bike comes with two different power options. You got a 500 watt motor for $1,200 or a 750 watt for $1,500. These guys decided that I couldn't handle the power, so they sent me the smaller one. Shame on you, Nakto. You obviously don't understand who I am. Okay, so let's put it to pedal assist level 5. Got a flat stretch of trail here. Let's see how fast I can go. And that's 25 miles per hour. Fishtail. Oh, no, not fishtail. And that speed's gonna be topping out if you use the throttle and if you're pedaling. They both top out at 25. And 25 miles per hour is 3 less than what this is rated for. 25, 26, 27, 28. Did my math right? Okay, good. So if you're a little bit lighter than me, riding in favorable conditions, that's what you could possibly get. Now, a couple things about speed. If you hold down the plus and the minus button, that takes you to the P menu, and then use the plus button to go to P level 5. Here you can change the pedal assist levels from 5 down to 3. So if you're just the kind of guy that wants 3 pedal assist levels rather than 5, there you go. What's your beef horse? Why are you looking at me, huh? And then in P level 8, this is where you can limit the speed. Okay, so when it comes to speed and affordability, 25 miles per hour is pretty good. Most bikes like this are hitting anywhere from 25 to 28, so it's within the range. Now, how about acceleration? Woo-wee. This is where most affordable bikes tend to struggle. Before I do this test, there's a few things I gotta change in the advanced settings. P level 9 is where you can set the bike from a 0 to a non-zero start. And what that means is that the throttle won't engage unless the bike is moving a little bit. And that's nice if you're a new rider, because a lot of times new riders will hop on the bike and hit the throttle and the bike will go before they're ready for it to go. And P11 is the pedal assist sensitivity. You have 1 to 24 levels. If you set it to 24, you're gonna have to pedal 1 or 2 times before the power comes on. If you set it to 1, the power comes on a lot quicker, which is what I like, so I'm gonna leave it there. And then at P12, this is the pedal assist strength, and you have 5 levels. And this is basically gonna tell the motor how much power to send. So if you want a lot of power, set it to 5. If you want little power, set it to 0. So with everything set to its maximum, most sensitive and reactive level, let's find out how fast I can tear down this trail. Buckle up, everybody. It's gonna be a wild ride. Ooh, yeah. One more time with pedaling. Here we go. And there's about 3/4 of a revolution. Power comes on. Are you guys amazed by the pure awesomeness of that takeoff? No, I gotta make a little bit of fun, because these types of bikes typically have a much faster acceleration than a lot of your standard fat bikes. This one feels like the acceleration of one of those standard fat bikes. Not super slow, but just what I see on a lot of e-bikes. The hill climbing ability tends to be a big separator between more affordable and higher end bikes, and I'm afraid to say that that is the case with this. However, I did take this up, just the standard hill test that I always take all my bikes on. It's a 15% grade, half a block long, and it actually made it to the top. It was slow, but it got there. So if you have a lot of hills in your area, I would definitely opt for the more expensive version of this with the 750 watt motor, unless you like to go really slow up hills. All right, so now that power is done and over, let's talk about range. And on the bike, you have a pretty big battery. That's a 48 volt, 16 amp hour. Takes 4 to 6 hours for a full charge. That's rated up to 1,000 charge cycles. They have a range rating of 30 to 60 miles. I did a short range test the other day. I was topping the bike out and I got almost 700 feet of elevation. And after I got home, let the bike sit for a couple minutes, I checked the LCD screen and I didn't have one battery bar missing. It was completely full. I'm not saying that it has a full charge. It definitely lost some battery, but not that much. That's something that I typically see on higher end bikes, not on bikes that are not higher end. Here we go. Now it's time to talk about Nakto's mission, which is bringing adventure to everyone with high-performance electric bikes designed to offer an exciting yet effortless ride across all terrain. It's that all-terrain part that I want to talk about next. Well, first thing, you got some gear for off-road. You got 20 by 4-inch all-terrain tires. There's full suspension. You can lock it out and adjust it. You got dual coil in the rear. Now, just because a bike has full suspension doesn't mean that it's equipped for the off-road. Well, let me say that you could take anything off-road, but it's more a question of how fast can you go off-road and still enjoy the ride. And with this bike, not that fast. I found that if I went around 8 to 10 miles per hour, it was pretty good. Anything above 10 miles per hour and it gets a little bit bumpy, a little bit shaky. I can't see straight as I'm going down the trail. Suspension is one of those things that you can drop a lot of money on. In fact, a lot of people buy bikes and then upgrade the suspension so they can take it off-road. So with something more affordable like this, the suspension is not gonna be the best. And that concludes my sermon on off-roading. Thank you. It's time to talk about the last few things of the Nakto F2, so here we go. And the first are the brakes. Now, you don't have hydraulic brakes. That's something you find on more higher end bikes, but you got disc brakes. Anyways, the right side controls the rear, the left side the front, and when you squeeze the levers, it's not connected to the tail light. Now, as far as the posture, with the BMX style handlebars, it's actually upright. I'm a 5'11" guy, reaching out to the grips, and back is pretty much straight up, which is nice because it's a beautiful day and I want to see how beautiful it is. Hi, beautiful. Now with these types of bikes, the seat is fixed and it is a very long seat and it's nicely cushioned. Ride and feel is actually pretty good. There's not a lot of noise coming from the motor. You do get a little bit of squeaking and grinding in the brakes. It's pretty lightweight, only weighs 68 pounds. And as you can see, it's a condensed frame. And they say it has a rider size rating of 5'3" up to 6'3". I think that if you're on the higher side of that, near 6'3", you're gonna find this to be very small. As far as lights, you have a big headlight up here in front. It's a motorcycle style headlights, which I think looks pretty cool. And that's matched with a tail light and a reflector on the rear fender. It's got a color LCD screen, waterproof connectors. And if you're nervous about putting bikes together, this comes 95% assembled. All you have to do is just put 4 bolts in to attach the handlebars to the frame and that's it. I did a short on that if you want to check it out. It's riveting and will change your life. That's right. Let's take a look here in the cockpits because the grips are actually pretty nice and they're bolted onto the handlebars. So if they do move, you can just tighten those 2 screws. This is the headlight button, got a horn, another control panel here to change the assist levels. You got a Shimano SIS Index 6-speed shifter. And then you also have a very basic throttle. You got to cut those costs somewhere, right? Okay, so what do you think? Did Nakto do a decent job of taking something that's generally more expensive and making it more affordable? Well, as far as speed, I thought they did. Tops out at 25 miles per hour. That is in the realm of what I see for bikes that look like this. The acceleration isn't as quick as those higher model bikes, but it is the same with your standard e-bikes. So you got a decent acceleration. It is pretty slow up hills, but again, it did make it up a 15% grade. Now the range is pretty awesome. 10 miles, 700 feet, full throttle, and then about a half a battery bar gone. Those are some good stats. I like the range. And then as far as brakes, you know, you don't have hydraulic, but you do have disc. Again, they got to cut some costs somewhere to drive that price down, and I think that was an area that they did that. And then the rest of the stuff is just cosmetic. A lot of cosmetic stuff is what can drive up bike prices. So if you're just looking for an affordable bike with a decent performance, I think this did a pretty good job. If you want to check it out, I got the link in the description. And as always, guys, I appreciate you hopping on here and checking out my videos, and I'll see you on the next one.